Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. It's Leo speaking. Today I have the pleasure to give you an introduction to live loops. It's going to be an introduction because there is a lot to cover and I don't think it's right to do it in one video. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. So we are inside the Logic Pro 4 iPad and we are running on an iPad Pro M1. Let's click on the Create Project. Normally we have created a project based on tracks, but now we have the ability to create a project based on live loops. So let's click on Live Loops. We are presented with this view where you can see we have these icons selected, which is the live loops area, while this one is the track area or track editor area. Okay, let's go back to live loops. And we also have the browser, which is open here in loops mode, as you can see, and is ready for you to drop loops in this area. So for example, let's select these 60 shuffle drum set 6. Let's drag and drop somewhere. You can see that you have different cells here, as you can see, which correspond to the columns below. And it will not move beyond the first year track because it needs to create a corresponding track for the loops which are here. Okay. Now, when you have created a loop in a particular cell, so when you have created a cell containing a loop, you can click on it as long as you are in trigger mode here, and it will start to play and it will go in a loop. And of course, you can click on it again to stop it. Okay, perfect. Now let's choose another loop from here. Let's click, hold, drag and drop. As you can see, you can drop it in various locations again. So just let go and we have created another track here and we have another loop here. So let's click on both of them to listen. Okay, as you can see so far, I have started and stopped the playing of each loops in different cells manually, but there is also a better way, and this is by clicking on these arrows which represent vertically a column. So you have, and they're called scene number 1, scene 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? 5 different scenes here. Of course, you can change the sizing here of the track headers and you can see more scenes available. Okay, so if I press here on this arrow for the scene, as long as I'm in trigger mode, it will activate all the cells that are part of this column. As you have seen, I have re-triggered the scene. It doesn't stop. It will just re-trigger the scene and therefore the place of all the loops contained in that particular scene or column. And as I've just demonstrated also, I stop the playing, clicking at the bottom right here. There is the stop button, which allows you to stop the playing. When you start the play, you can see that the transport control of the project are activated. And when you stop them using this button here on the bottom right-hand side, it doesn't stop the playing of the project, so you need to go back up here and stop there. Indeed, also if I click play here, it will not start the playing because the cells are not activated, right? So, but you can use the transport control to stop when cells and loops are playing. So let me show you. Okay, and that stops and you can see the position where they stopped. Of course, if I go back and I click play, and I can stop again. You can see it remembers where it stopped. Now, if I go to the bottom right and select the stop button here, it will remove the positioning, okay? And it will start again from the start of each loop for each cell, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. And let's find something else, another loop. So, I don't know, let's try something else and see if we like it. Let's and this is the beauty of the live loops, that you can actually activate a scene and preview some of the loops at the same time, which works really nicely. Okay, so we introduced 2 more loops, okay, as we were playing scene number 1. And now let me show you what happens if I move away from the trigger mode and I go to the second one, which is a cue mode. So this allows you to cue, and you can click cells, but also scene. So you can actually cue different cells, and then you can get them to play in different ways. What is really nice is that what you can do is trigger some cells to play or a scene, and then you can go in cue mode. You can cue some loops or cell, then go back to trigger mode, and then click on one of the cue cells, and then all the cells which are queue will start playing. So let's show that queuing the last 2 cells here on this particular scene. So let me activate the first 2. So this is an example of how you can actually queue cells and the 4th scene as well, and then get them to play when you need so. And there are also other ways using the transport control to bring those back up as well. And of course, as you queue some of the cells here, like so, you can also activate, for example, here at the bottom right, you see the button changes, so you press on that. And of course, that will start playing. Okay, so that is really nice. And click on that to stop to clear the positioning of the cell. Next, we have a record button, which allows you to actually record in each different cell, which is really nice. Of course, it depends on what track you have selected. So let's, for example, see if we can find this track here as a software instrument, so you can play. So let's click here. Okay, and now let's click on here. So I have recorded now a loop here using a software instrument, but you can do that, for example, with audio as well. Okay, and that is how you use the record button here. You have an edit button here, and you have multi-selectors here and copy as standard functionality. And of course, you can select a cell, and then you have option to cut, copy, delete, for example, or you can select a cell, and then you can do a lot of different things. There are so many options you can show in the editor: toggle, mute, quantize. But this is really nice. You can select cells in many different ways. All of them, everything that is following that cell in bottom and right direction, all the cells which are on the same track, all the cells which have of the same track, all the following cells, of the same track, all the cells of the same track, which is different, all the cells of the same scene by color, or you can invert the selection or deselect them all. So there's a lot you can do. You can also name the cell by track, color the cell by track. You can join regions and fill cell. You can also bounce. And then, of course, you can find similar loops and show also the original search as well. Lot you can do really in terms of different options. And of course, you can click also down here on the scene as well. You can copy plain cells here. You can duplicate them, insert a scene, copy scene to playhead, or insert a scene at the playhead, or delete it as well, which really useful. Okay. So you can click on the plus sign here, and it asks you to create a new track, because behind the scene you still have tracks, as you can see that. But you have this additional column, which is a column divider, which I will explain in a moment. Let's go back to the live loops view. You would have noticed that when I start and stop a loop, it doesn't start immediately. That depends on the quantization. At the moment it's set to 1 bar, but I could set it also to off. In the case, it start and stop immediately, like so. And this is for the entire project, from the entire live loop set. Okay, there's also a very interesting smart pickup mode, which allows you to actually keep all the cells in syncs instead of waiting a synchronization division, but that means that it will skip part of the audio because it maintains the integrity of the audio within the loop. But I will show that perhaps in one of the next tutorial. 3 dots here. You can duplicate track, show the output track, customize the track header. You have additional option here. You can insert a scene, a playhead. And then, as I mentioned, you have a column divider here. So let me show you what happens when I click here after this cell is playing. Desktop, okay, and that circle image has changed to this column divider. And if I go here, it's actually playing along. So it transfer the playing to the track which correspond to the track which is on the live loops. So to make an example of this, let's be on track number 2. Let's go to the normal track editor view. Let's go back at the beginning, okay? And here, actually, instead of create a MIDI region, let's record something, okay, which is easier. Let's stop. And now let's click here and click again and set the cycle to repeat. You can see that it is in this gray area. If I click here, it goes green because I activate this region being played. If I click again, I deactivate this region, is back to the playing of the live loops. Okay, let me show you that in action. So let's go back to the live loop view. Let me click here, okay, to activate this loop. Then I will click on the column divider here and you will see this stop, okay? So okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I changed the direction here, so let me try again. Okay, and of course you can move it back in terms of playing. So you click again on the column divider and then you can press here. Or you can click on the cell while the region is actually playing for that particular track, and then of course it transfers automatically. And you can do these at the top for all the different rows in the live loops, which is really nice. It works really, really nicely. Okay. Now there are other different things that you can do with live loops. You can also record your performance, which is really nice. And as you do that, you click in here and then you record, and what it will do behind the scene in the track editor, it will record regions with all your recording. Then of course you can export them, for example, for further processing, okay? And that is really, really powerful. The other thing as well is if you select a track, so you go in edit mode and you select the track, and then you go to the inspector. Here you find under the cell a lot of different options which normally are not visible. So under play, you can decide the trigger mode, start and stop, momentary. So you have to click and hold, or re-trigger every time you click on the cell. It will re-trigger, for example. That means you need to trigger on an empty cell to get that to stop. You can change the quantization start to be global for the project or the one you select. You can change the Q loop start, which will not respect, for example, the start of the loop, will respect the start of the loop, or it will start from the beginning of the play, but it will continue then from the looping. And the reason that it works like that is because you can, for a loop, click the editor here, and then you go into this audio editor, and then you can set the start and stopping loop here, like so, okay? But the starting position you can actually set to be different. So in this particular case, you can say the starting position is here, okay? But this bit here, okay? Oops. There you go. So the start position is here, but the loop start actually from there, okay? And that is why the loop start here becomes handy, okay? You can play from the start, the last stop position, the last playing cell position, or the playhead position. You can play from the, we just covered that, and then you can change the start, the looping start, the length of the looping, and also the cell length. And you can also customize the recording option, okay? So under here, you can say record takes. You can record multiple takes or just replace as you prefer. You can change the recording length to be cell length or automatically based on bars and bits, which is really nice. And then you can decide what it does at the end of the recording. If, for example, it plays straight away or it continues to actually record. So as you can see, you can edit your audio here as you are in live loop mode. I'm going to stop here because there is a lot to take in. Consider this just an introductory video. If you never used live loops, now you have an idea of what it could do, but I'm sure I will create some additional tutorial to give you a better example on how to use the different capabilities of the live loops project. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.